Was Dale from The Walking Dead seasons 1 and 2 right about how they should have handled Randall when they were on the farm? Welcome back to Lost in Games Unscripted, the series where I talk about pretty much whatever comes to mind at any given time. And today, that's going to be touching a little bit on the moral philosophy of Dale from seasons 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead. He's also in the comics, but I know somebody will shout that out if I don't call, but Dale is in the comics in the show. But the question is, Dale's moral philosophy that doesn't seem to change from season 1 to season 2, he kind of holds pretty steady. Does that moral philosophy still hold up when it comes to the situation with Randall? So for those who maybe haven't watched the show in a while or maybe never watched the show, Randall in season 2 was an interesting case because he was part of a group that we know, or we have an inkling that was not a very good group overall, from his own admission, but also from the way that they first meet. When there's a couple of guys from that group that actually meet Rick and Glenn and Herschel. When Glenn and Rick go to get Herschel at the bar, these two guys show up. And these guys, they're iffy from the get-go. They got some, you can tell something's not right with them, right? And as the conversation goes on and it gets a little bit tense, and then eventually one of the guys starts to draw on them and Rick winds up shooting both of them. So that's kind of sets the scene of what we're looking at here, where this group is concerned. These guys, they will kill, not even if they have to, just because they can, right? They're desperate. They've got some not good intentions. Then some of their buddies show up looking for them. And the first place they check is the bar. Now, part of me wonders how much of this was planned out, what they knew was going to happen beforehand. None of that's really addressed. But one of the people that shows up with those guys, I think there's 3 other guys, is Randall. And Randall is this kid. He can't be more than 19, 20 years old. He's pretty young. But he winds up falling off of a roof and impaling his leg on a fence. Now, right there and then, the right thing to do, because she was shooting at them, right? The last guy leaves. You know, all that's left is Randall, and then Rick, Herschel, and Glenn are trying to get out of there. And they should have just left. But Rick couldn't help himself. He wanted to be the hero. He wanted to save he's like, oh, we'll go ahead and we're going to find a way to save him and take him back. That was a stupid decision from the get-go. But they wound up getting him back to the farm. Now, once they get him back to the farm, the thing is, okay, well, we're going to help him heal up. We're going to fix him up, right? And then we're going to take him 18 miles out. We're going to drop him off. And that'll be that. We're done with him at that point. But they wind up taking him out, and he's trying this whole time, desperately trying to convince them to let him live. And you got to question, based off of the guys in the bar initially, like, is he being honest? Is he being sincere? He seems to come off, especially when Daryl talks to him, because Daryl kind of interrogates him at one point. And the way he looks at Daryl when he's talking about how his group had found this family with these 2 little girls, and it just gets under my skin when I watch him. Like, this guy, you can tell there's something up with him, right? And all of that should factor into what they do with him. So they try to take him away and just drop him off and let him go. And they're like, here, you can just kind of do your own thing. That turns into a problem because it turns out that he knew Maggie. And he knew Herschel. He knew where the farm was at. The whole reason they were taking him out was because they thought, we get rid of him, he won't know where we were. He won't be able to bring anybody back. But if he knows Maggie and Herschel, now he's a threat. And if he has a larger group, if he has bad intentions, and we let him go and he gets to that group, he might bring that group back to us, right, at the farm. So right away, we've got this major moral conundrum. How to handle the situation? Do we kill the guy? We can't let him go because that's a risk. But if we keep him prisoner, now we have to have extra food for him. We have to have somebody to guard him. We can't trust him. So we have to kind of figure out how we're going to handle that situation. So what they decide to do is they're going to have a group meeting. Like, initially, Rick's like, we're just going to kill him. That's just what we have to do. Dale talks him into, let's have a meeting about it. Let's have everybody on the same page. It doesn't hurt anything to talk about this before we do it. And to Dale's credit, I think that actually makes a lot of sense. They should have a conversation, because at the end of the day, this is taking somebody's life. And if it's easy to take somebody's life, well, now you start running into a problem where you start to lose your morality, which is what Dale is afraid of. He's afraid that they're all going to lose their morality by taking this guy's life. Now, We'll sidestep a little bit into the Walking Dead game, the Telltale's version of the Walking Dead game, the DLC 400 Days. In 400 Days, we see a very similar kind of circumstance in a way, where there's a group that's holed up at a gas station, and they've got stuff kind of going all right. They've got some perimeter stuff, and they're growing some crops and whatnot. But this guy shows up and decides he's going to rob them. He's trying to steal things from them and take off, sneakily, but they catch him. And they have to decide what to do with him. They can either let him go, or they can kill him. He can't speak English. They don't know his intentions. They don't know where he came from. They can't communicate with him. So it becomes a whole moral question about how do you handle this situation. Now, in the game, if you kill the guy, what winds up happening is the whole group kind of descends into anarchy. Nobody wants to be there anymore. Everybody feels kind of like it's becoming the guy that's leading is almost like a prison warden in a lot of ways. It becomes a very difficult situation for everybody. If you choose to let the guy live, he comes back with some friends and people get killed. It's not a good situation. So either way, you're in a tough spot. And it's the same kind of thing with Randall, where you let him go, you risk him coming back with his friends, but you kill him, and what's the moral cost of that? Where's that going to wind up for the group as a whole? Now, where I disagree with Dale on this, though, is I don't think the moral cost, and even with the 400 Days DLC in the game, the moral cost I think is a little overdone. Because in reality, it's not about whether or not we should kill him. It's about how we handle it. Because the secret is, we shouldn't enjoy it. We should have a whole discussion about it and talk about the reasonings behind it. And at the end of the day, we have to make sure he can't harm the group. We have to protect the group. But we have to be careful that we are doing it from the right intentions. And the group on the farm is doing it from the right intentions. They are trying to protect themselves. They aren't doing it because they enjoy it or they want to do it. Nobody there wants to kill him. They are like foaming at the mouth, ready to kill. Even Shane, who is arguing that he needs to be killed, isn't doing it from like, oh yeah, let me do it. I can't wait. Like, he's like, this has to be done to protect the group. This guy's an outsider. We don't know anything about him. But I'll caveat that a little bit because we do know a little bit about him from his group mates and from the way he talks to Daryl and the way he kind of tries to like get Carl to help him out. The guy, you can tell he's got some bad things going on in his mind. Like he doesn't mind hurting people. So you got to do what you got to do. Now, from Daryl's point from Dale's point of view, not Daryl, he goes around and he tries to convince everybody else from an emotional standpoint, right? He tries to convince Daryl. He goes and talks to him like, hey, you don't care if the guy lives or dies, right? And Daryl's like, no, I don't really care either way. He's like, well, then why don't you side with me? It doesn't hurt anything. That's just him trying to get support and lobbying from an emotional standpoint. And then he goes and talks to Herschel, and he's trying to talk to Herschel about how to handle it. Herschel's just like, look, I'm going to let Rick do it. I'm not going to get involved. This is Rick that's taking care of this. And so he can't get the kind of support he wants. He finally convinces Andrea in the moment when they're talking. But again, they don't bring up a lot of the reasons why this guy has to die. And Dale is talking from an emotional standpoint when he should be talking from a logical standpoint. If you want the guy to live, it's not because, well, I think it'll take some humanity from us, because realistically, if somebody's a threat, what would you do if he was firing at you directly? Is it then, do you still argue not to kill him? I know he's not firing in the moment, but there is a huge, huge risk there, and you can kind of tell the personality and what's going on, but he was firing at you at one point. So maybe he pays for, maybe you're getting rid of him because of that risk, because he had fired at you before. Whatever it happens to be, there is no logical argument, even a moral argument. Deontology, strict deontology, which is, Dale wants to kind of come from that, but he's not as strict about it because he is willing to kill other people if he has to, right? If they're firing at him, he would shoot them back. But strict deontology would say You can't kill him at all. It doesn't matter what the risk is. It doesn't matter what the consequences may be. You have to keep him alive at all costs. That would be strict deontology. From a utilitarian standpoint, though, for the better of the group, we got to do what's right for everybody. And keeping him alive means keeping him prisoner because we can't let him go. That's too big of a risk. Even under deontology, you cannot let him go. You have to keep him there. So you're giving him food, you're giving him shelter, you're giving him a guard, somebody that has to watch him at all times, and that's going to have to be a rotating guard shift. And what if somebody messes up along the way, right? So you're taking a ton of risk there. You're taking all of that on. So from a utilitarian standpoint, we need the food. As Herschel points out, as they're having the discussion, it might be a lean winter. They don't know. So food, medicine, supplies, all of that stuff that they're going to need. The best choice from the utilitarian standpoint is to hang him or get rid of him in some way, right? You cannot keep him around. You cannot let him go. The only choice from a utilitarian standpoint is to kill him. Now, deontology, from Dale's perspective, I understand why he doesn't want to. But again, the discussion is about what is this going to cost us? And even in the 400 days episode, that argument, it shouldn't, realistically, in that scenario, and we're going to talk more about the morals and the shifting moral line in the apocalypse here in some upcoming videos I've got planned. But realistically, you're in a situation where the law, the rule of law is gone. You have to set yourself a new rule. And the group should have from the beginning sat down and they should have said, we're going to have council, we're going to have whatever. They should have decided how all of this was going to be handled. But they didn't think ahead. It was the survival numbers for the group in the first couple of seasons. None of them should have realistically survived to the end of season 2, but that's a whole nother video in and of itself. So Dale's argument, I would say he is from a deontological standpoint. If you subscribe to deontology, you got to say, Randall, you got to keep him alive. You got to take him. You got to keep him as a prisoner, though, even under deontology. And you got to feed him, and you got to clothe him, and you got to give him medicine, whatever. You got to keep him alive. You cannot kill him. Utilitarianism, got to kill him, can't let him go, can't sacrifice our supplies. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments below, because the show, it gives a lot of really good moral conundrums, and the first couple of seasons especially are really good for how they approach and some of the things they put up. And I'm going to be talking more about some of those moral conundrums and stuff that come up in the first couple of seasons. So keep an eye out for those videos. Subscribe if you want to see that. Make sure you like the video, all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. What would you have done with Randall? If you were in the group, would you have been on Dale's side? Would you have been on Rick and Shane's side? How would you have argued that? And would you have given into the emotional stuff and said, well, I feel like we might lose something. I really don't want to be a part of this. Like, how would you have handled that? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to help the channel out in other ways other than subscribing and viewing and all that kind of stuff, there's also a channel membership. I've got channel memberships and a Patreon, so you can go over and sign up over there and get early access to videos and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I've got a lot of great stuff planned for the future. The next couple of weeks especially, I'm really digging into The Walking Dead, the show. So I'll be having some stuff about the show and the games, as well as more talking about The Last of Us and Fallout as far as the moral line and how that shifts and that kind of stuff. So keep an eye out for all of that. But that's all I've got for this one. I want to thank you all for watching. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.